Parody. It's a tricky little format when it comes to comedy writing, but today I'm going to share with you some tips, tricks, and pitfalls so that you can make better parody, like tomorrow. So stay with us. I just said stay with us. Who am I? That's like something Julie Chen would say on Big Brother. Which, by the way, how many seasons of a show can you do and still look fabulous? I'm looking at you, Julie. Okay, so what is parody? Well, I think there's three parts to it, okay? First, you have a type of source material. Second, you have a witticism, a whimsical commentary, funny critique, something like that, on the source material. And three, you have what I'm going to call a candy coating that you're going to wrap all of it up in. So with this definition, you can identify what is parody and what isn't parody. There's lots of great things out there that aren't parody, maybe double check and ensure that parody is what you want to do. Riff tracks, for example. If you've never heard of riff tracks, they're these really interesting group. They would make a running commentary on a film. You synced up their audio track with the beginning of a movie, and as you're watching the movie, you kind of had like a genius guy, comedian in the room with you, So if you didn't like doing that with your friends, you could just bring someone in to do it for you. And they had a lot of really funny jokes and a lot of great stuff. I'm not sure I'd call it actually parody, though, because it's missing that other element. You have a source material, you have a commentary on it, but they're not really creating their own piece of media. They were just like adding on to the existing experience, which that is a commentary. I don't think it's parody. Another thing to watch out for, don't get parody mixed up with satire. These are two different things, even by law. Okay, I'm diving into my legal background now. I work with copyright law for my day job. Parody and satire are treated differently by law. A parody requires a source material and a commentary on that source material, okay? So those two things we talked about from the beginning, you have to make sure the commentary you're adding actually comments or critiques the original source material. It's different than using a piece of source material to comment on something else. There are a lot of copyright cases that help define what a parody is and what it's not. One of the most famous cases for parody, Campbell versus Acuff Rose, in which a musical group parodied the song Pretty Woman, and the whole parody version of the song was kind of exposing how the lyrics to Pretty Woman actually really objectify women, and it was kind of a sexist song. It's an interesting case. You can go look it up. But you see satire come in a lot, things that aren't defined as parody in things like presidential elections or political elections, where campaigns take a song and rewrite the words in a cutesy way to promote their candidate. And that is, if I could write you a manual on how to get sued for copyright infringement, that's it. Take a song, a famous song, rewrite the words so that it meets your own political message, and then publish that. Great. No problem. Okay, so that's the difference between satire and parody. Parody, you're commenting on a piece of source material and using the source material to do so. Satire, you're commenting on some societal something or other and using a piece of source material to do so. So how do you write good parody? What makes a great parody? Well, I think there's a few things that make for excellent parody and a few things that you need to ensure you're doing as you're writing. The first thing you've got to do, you've got to know the source material like backwards and frontwards, because your comedy will come from the intricacies of that source material. And the second thing I always advise my students to do is to understand the relationship between your source material and your comedic audience. Because you can understand the source material in such a way and start making jokes that are maybe pointing out flaws and fallacies and weaknesses, and in a way that your audience might not appreciate. Or vice versa, you might be applauding something about the source material that an audience is going to be like, this is stupid, this guy's so stupid, I hate this so much. For example, one time I wrote a sketch called Severus Snape William Darcy. And the gist of the sketch was I wanted to highlight the bizarre similarities between Severus Snape and Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. My hypothesis was these two actually share a lot of similarities. And maybe that's why we end up appreciating both characters so much, even though they're not people that you would maybe get along with if you knew them as a human being. In order to write this sketch, I had to really understand Snape's character from Harry Potter, but I also had to really understand Mr. Darcy's character from Pride and Prejudice in order to find all of these parallels. I ended up actually doing a mashed together video as part of this sketch that it had Keira Knightley from Pride and Prejudice looking long, and then I would like it was smash cut to something Severus Snape was doing. The audience that my comedy group performed this for, I understood to have a very positive relationship, both with Pride and Prejudice and with Harry Potter. I also think, just generally speaking, people who really enjoy Pride and Prejudice may also really enjoy Harry Potter, and vice versa. So this is like a winning idea, in my opinion. But little did I know that someone was going to call me out for something in a comment on the video online to say, this is really, really funny, but technically not actually canon, because it turns out Alan Rickman actually played Colonel Brandon in Sense and Sensibility in a film adaptation. And so the idea that I was also introducing Alan Rickman as Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice just was grating on some of the hardcore fans. So that's something I should have been aware of as I was doing some research to write this sketch. Know the source material, know the audience's relationship to the source material. That's all I'm saying. Something else that I would suggest is to understand the transformation from the source material to the candy coating that you end up putting in. So when I say candy coating, I'm talking about whatever form your parody actually ends up taking. So it could be a song, it could be a quick sketch, it could be a full-length feature film, but you have to pay close attention to what that transformation looks like, okay? Much like when people have body transformations, their personality sometimes goes through a little transformation as well, positive and negative. I'm not making generalization. Your source material is going to go through something similar, and you have to understand what that's like. It's incredibly important to have an interesting candy coating to provide an audience for the parody itself. I've seen a lot of great, clever parody ideas just kind of sink because the little package that they put it in for the audience at the end was very boring, even though the comments themselves were quite witty. So I think it's important for you to just kind of know what you're trying to do. If you're trying to take a full-length feature film and adapt it into a YouTube video, understand that you're taking like 120 minutes into 5 minutes. There's a lot you're going to cut out and a lot you have to make decisions about. And on a related note, just ensure that candy coating is very interesting. One time, we did a parody of the card game Bang. If you've never played Bang, it's a fun little card game. Everyone gets a character and you're trying to shoot outlaws. Some people are outlaws, some people are sheriff, kind of like Mafia. I'm not going to explain the rules. The link's below if you want to go check it out. But in order to parody the card game, we hijacked as a little plot device like an old Western kind of showdown scene. And so we took the card game, we reduced it into a 5-minute scene. For those who enjoyed the card game, I think they really enjoyed the parody. Okay, finally, before you just go out there and start writing parodies, a couple of pitfalls to avoid. Trust me, you're going to want to hear these. Okay, pitfall number 1, no candy coating slash a bad candy coating. If you've given very little effort to how you are packaging your new content, your new piece of media, then an audience is going to say, that's nice, but I don't want to watch this. Riff tracks, as I mentioned before, they maybe are kind of an exception, right? Like they've decided they're not going to do any candy coating. It's just going to be source material and commentary, and you just kind of sync it up. But their way of syncing it up, that is their candy coating. That is the way that they deliver it to you. And so I think that's kind of cool. Keep that in mind. Just think about it. Think about the candy coating. Pitfall 2, surface level commentary. Remember, even in parody, especially in parody, the audience is expecting humor, and in order to make them laugh, you have to give them something unexpected or something they haven't thought about before. And it's really easy when you're trying to comment on a work to just get surface level stuff. And when I say surface level stuff, I mean it's things that almost anybody could think of if you gave them 10 minutes. They are going to enjoy the type of commentary they can't come up with on their own, or they couldn't come up with on their own in any immediate setting. So do the hard work, push yourself to write jokes that aren't immediately apparent, and I think you're going to get a better result. 3. Another pitfall is a poor transformation. Like I mentioned, if you're taking a full movie, putting it into a YouTube video, but you're trying to keep all the elements of the full movie, you're not going to have much time for good commentary. It's just going to be a frenetic, crazy world inside your video, and good luck. And finally, intellectual property issues. Yeah, this is especially true, I think, in musical parodies because the world of musical copyright is pretty complex. There's different copyrights for songs when it comes down to the actual recording of a song versus the writing of the song, and so it's kind of a mess. And there are a lot of filters in place online that will flag you very quickly, and that is going to put a big damper on your whole experience and your audience's experience because they won't get to watch it. So be careful about those intellectual property issues. try to ensure that every piece of media you are using, you are actually doing a good commentary on, so you can make a good legal argument like, oh no, this is parody, this is a fair use. This is a long topic, and the legal side of it I'll have to make another video about, because there is a lot to unpack there. But anyway, go forth, write parody, let me know, send some links to your parodies in the comments. I would love to see them. I was really excited to do this video because someone requested it. Well, look at this, we got a dialogue going back and forth. Give me comments, questions. I'm gonna go back to writing on the draft of my next book, because my last one's out there. Pretty exciting stuff. I'm just been thrilled with the reception of that. Take care. Talk to you soon.